Have you ever stopped for a moment and asked yourself, is this just what getting older feels like? You know, the quiet drifting apart. The night spent turning over in bed, not because you're uncomfortable, but because something's missing. That closeness. That spark. That deep, warm feeling of being wanted, of being alive. Maybe it's been weeks. Maybe months. For some, even years. And not because you stopped loving your partner, not at all. Life just got in the way. Illness. Surgery. Medications. Fear. Embarrassment. Or maybe, you simply started to believe that intimacy after a certain age just isn't important anymore. But let me ask you something. What if that belief is quietly hurting you? What if I told you that not having sex in your 60s, 70s, or 80s might be silently affecting not just your relationship, but your brain, your heart, your immune system, even how long you live? You see, doctors are starting to speak out. They're beginning to say what many have whispered about for years, that sexual intimacy isn't just about desire, it's about health. And when it disappears, especially in our later years, it can trigger a slow, invisible unraveling of the very things that keep us well and whole. Now, before you click away thinking, oh, this isn't for me, hear me out. Because this video isn't about pressuring anyone to do anything they don't want. It's about understanding what really happens when we stop being physically connected to someone we love. It's about the science, the emotions, and the simple truth that intimacy doesn't have an expiration date. So stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll learn 5 powerful ways that a lack of intimacy could be quietly taking a toll on your health, and how to gently bring it back, in a way that feels natural and right for you. And trust me, it's not too late. Speech balloon comment, still got it, if you believe that love, touch, and connection don't stop with age. And if you care about aging gracefully, emotionally, mentally, physically, subscribe to Elders Wisdom Institute. We're building a space where age is honored, health is empowered, and every story matters. Let's begin. Small blue diamond key sign number 1, cognitive decline can accelerate. Let me tell you about Joe. Joe's 72. Retired. Quiet man. Used to be sharp as a tack, could fix anything, remember everything. The kind of guy who never forgot a birthday or a joke. But lately, something's been off. He started repeating himself. Misplacing his keys. Forgetting names he's known for decades. His wife, Carol, figured it was just part of getting older. You know, senior moments. We all have them, right? But deep down, she felt something wasn't right. What she didn't realize, and what most people don't, is that Joe hadn't been intimate in years. Not just physically, but emotionally, too. The distance crept in slowly. First it was health issues, then medications, then silence. And without that closeness, something inside Joe began to fade. Now, this isn't just a sad story, it's something doctors are seeing more often. You see, when we engage in intimacy, whether it's making love, holding hands, kissing, or even just cuddling, our bodies release powerful chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin. These aren't just feel-good hormones. They are vital for brain health. They improve memory, boost mood, support focus. They help the brain stay active and connected. But when that kind of connection disappears, so does that chemical support. And over time, the brain begins to slow. Now here's the mistake most people make, they assume that losing interest in intimacy is just a natural part of aging. But it's not always that simple. In many cases, especially when the change is sudden or extreme, it can actually be an early sign of cognitive decline. It's not about libido fading. It's about the brain quietly signaling that something is off. And the saddest part? Most people don't talk about it. They keep it private, thinking it's just their burden to bear. Meanwhile, the brain continues to slip away, unnoticed, unchallenged, untreated. But there's hope. Intimacy doesn't have to mean what it used to. It's not about performance, it's about presence. Holding hands while you watch TV. Sitting close during dinner. Hugging a little longer. Laughing together. These small, human connections stimulate the same areas of the brain that sexual activity does. They send the message, you're not alone, you're still loved, you still matter. And sometimes, that's enough to help the mind stay sharp just a little longer. Now, if cognitive function is one thing that suffers in silence, there's another part of your body that often pays the price, too. Let's talk about your heart. Small blue diamond key sign number 2. Increased risk of cardiovascular problems. Now let me introduce you to Margaret. She's 68. Still full of life. She loves her garden, spoils her grandkids, and volunteers at the local shelter. But after her husband underwent major surgery last year, something changed. They stopped being intimate. Not just physically, but emotionally, too. Margaret became more of a caretaker than a partner. And out of love, she pulled back, thinking he needed space, time, rest. Months passed. Then, out of nowhere, Margaret felt tightness in her chest. Her heart raced. She was rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, it wasn't a heart attack, but it was a serious warning. What the doctors explained surprised her. They told her that regular, healthy intimacy, especially in later life, is actually protective for the heart. See, sexual activity isn't just about pleasure. It's a form of light cardiovascular exercise. It gets the heart pumping, the blood flowing. It lowers cortisol, which is the hormone your body releases when it's stressed. And over time, it helps maintain balanced blood pressure and healthier arteries. But when that closeness disappears, when physical touch is replaced by silence, the body begins to feel it. The heart, in particular, grows more vulnerable. Now, here's the common myth: many seniors avoid intimacy because they fear it might trigger a heart problem. Especially if they've had surgery or are dealing with conditions like high blood pressure. But for most people, that's not the case. In fact, moderate intimacy, with medical clearance, is not only safe, it can be incredibly beneficial. It reduces anxiety, improves circulation, and strengthens the bond between partners. All of which contribute to better heart health. And here's the truth no one tells you: intimacy doesn't have to look like it did when you were 30. It can start with something as simple as a gentle massage. Lying next to each other with your hands entwined. A soft kiss on the forehead. A slow dance in the living room. These small acts aren't just sentimental. They are biological. They remind the body that it's safe, connected, alive. If you're unsure, talk to your doctor. Most will be happy to help you figure out a safe way to return to physical closeness. No pressure. No expectations. Just gentle reconnection. Because every heartbeat deserves a reason to keep going strong. And while your heart can be silently struggling, there's another risk that often creeps in when intimacy fades. Loneliness. A deep kind of loneliness that doesn't always come from being alone, but from feeling unseen. Let's talk about that next. Small blue diamond key sign number 3, emotional detachment and loneliness. Let me tell you about David and Ellen. They've been married for over 40 years. Built a life together. Raised kids. Traveled. Laughed. Cried. All the things that come with a long, full partnership. But then David had surgery. Recovery was slow. Pain took over. Medication dulled his emotions. And almost without realizing it, the intimacy vanished. Not just the physical kind, but the emotional kind too. The hand-holding stopped. The long conversations became short nods. They still shared a home, still shared meals, but it started to feel like they were living beside each other, not with each other. Weeks turned into months. They barely touched. And then one day, Ellen sat on the edge of the bed and said softly, "I feel invisible." That's the kind of loneliness that no one talks about. Not being alone in the room, but feeling alone in the relationship. Here's what the science says: when two people share intimacy, when they hug, kiss, hold hands, or simply lie close, the body releases oxytocin. It's often called the bonding hormone. It helps regulate your mood, lowers anxiety, and builds emotional trust. Without it, emotional walls go up. Disconnection sets in. And in many cases, depression begins to quietly grow. Now, a common belief is that emotional drifting is just a part of getting older. That couples, naturally, grow distant over time. That they've outgrown intimacy. But often, that's not true. What's really happening is that the loss of physical closeness, especially after illness, grief, or major life transitions, triggers emotional detachment. And unless that gap is bridged, both people begin to suffer in silence. The beautiful news? You can bring that connection back. It doesn't take grand gestures. You don't need candlelight or roses. It starts with small, intentional acts: a hug in the morning, a gentle rub on the shoulders after dinner, sitting close during your favorite TV show, holding hands under the table. These moments tell your partner, "I still see you. I still choose you." They reignite something in the heart that words can't always reach. And over time, they can ease the heaviness of loneliness, not just for your partner, but for you too. Because being touched, being held, being cherished, is a basic human need that doesn't fade with age. If anything, it becomes more sacred. And while emotional loneliness is heavy on the heart, there's another place where the effects of intimacy loss can quietly show up, every single night you lay your head on the pillow. Let's talk about how poor sleep could be the next surprising consequence of declining intimacy. Small blue diamond key sign number 4, sleep disturbances and hormonal imbalance. Mary was 76. Sharp, witty, full of opinions. The kind of woman who made everyone laugh at the dinner table. But lately, she'd been different. She started complaining about her sleep. Tossing and turning. Wide awake at 2 a.m., unable to drift off. Her days were slower, foggier. And even after 8 hours in bed, she woke up feeling like she hadn't slept at all. Her doctor ran the usual tests: thyroid, heart, diet, medications. Everything looked fine. Then, he asked her something she didn't expect: "How's your love life, Mary?" She laughed, at first. Brushed it off. "Oh, that's long behind me." But he didn't smile. He said, "You'd be surprised how much that matters." You see, what most people don't realize is that sexual intimacy, yes, even in older adults, is deeply connected to sleep quality. Here's why: during and after sexual activity, the body releases a cocktail of powerful hormones. Prolactin, which creates that feeling of deep relaxation and contentment. Endorphins, which reduce pain and anxiety. And for some, oxytocin, which eases stress and helps the body feel safe. Together, these chemicals help quiet the mind and prepare the body for rest. They naturally lower cortisol levels, the stress hormone that keeps you awake, and help regulate your circadian rhythm, your internal clock that tells your body when it's time to sleep and when it's time to rise. But when intimacy fades, those calming chemicals fade too. What's left is often a restless body, a racing mind, and another night staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep won't come. Now here's the misconception that gets in the way: most people try to fix their sleep with pills, herbal teas, or strict bedtime routines. And while those can help, they often miss the deeper need for connection. You don't need passion-filled nights. You don't need to perform. What you need is comfort. Touch. Closeness. Lying next to someone you love. A quiet cuddle. A deep hug before bed. Even soft, intentional breathing together, heart to heart, can be enough to activate those same natural sleep aids your body is craving. And if you live alone, it doesn't mean you're excluded. Even self-connection, through mindfulness, touch, and emotional warmth, can help encourage those same hormones. A warm bath. Gentle stretches. A weighted blanket. Anything that makes your body feel held and safe. Because sleep isn't just about silence. It's about settling. And when you haven't felt deeply connected in a long time, your nervous system stays alert. Guarded. Restless. But you deserve better than that. You deserve rest that feels like peace. And while sleep matters more than most people know, the bigger picture is even more surprising. Let's talk about your immune system, because yes, intimacy has a role to play there, too. Small blue diamond key sign number 5, weakened immune function. Let me introduce you to Ron. He's 80. Always took pride in being strong, rarely got sick, never missed a day's work in his prime. The kind of man who'd shovel snow in the winter just to get the blood moving. But in the past year, things started to shift. He wasn't bouncing back like he used to. Caught a cold, then another. Developed a lingering cough that just wouldn't quit. Even small infections took longer to heal. Ron was confused. He hadn't changed his diet. Still took his walks. Still kept a routine. But his energy was down. His spark was fading. So during a routine visit, his doctor asked questions. About lifestyle. Sleep. Stress. And then came the one Ron hadn't expected. You still sexually active? Ron chuckled. At my age? But the doctor didn't smile. He explained something that isn't talked about enough, especially in senior care. He said, sexual activity, even light or infrequent, boosts your immune system. It's not about performance, it's about physiology. You see, when you're sexually active, or even just emotionally and physically connected to someone, your body produces a powerful antibody called immunoglobulin A, or IgA for short. This is one of your first lines of defense against colds, flu, infections, and even inflammation. It helps your mucous membranes, the lining of your nose, mouth, lungs, and gut, fight off invading germs. And yes, levels of IgA are measurably higher in people who maintain sexual closeness, even in their later years. But when intimacy disappears, whether because of grief, illness, fear, or simply growing apart, your immune system takes a subtle hit. Not always enough to be alarming right away. But over time, you become more vulnerable. Now here's the big misconception: many older adults believe that not being intimate is actually healthier, that avoiding sex is safer, easier, or more appropriate. But in reality, that absence of touch and closeness can chip away at your natural defenses. And again, it doesn't have to be sexual in the traditional sense. If intimacy isn't physically possible for you anymore, you're not without hope. You can still feed your immune system in powerful ways. Hug someone every day, share laughter with friends, hold hands during a walk, cuddle a grandchild or a pet, spend quality time with someone you trust. Even shared smiles and meaningful conversation can raise oxytocin, reduce cortisol, and indirectly support immune strength. You're not broken if you're not having sex. But you are human, and that means your body, even in its later years, craves connection. Connection keeps you resilient. It keeps you strong. And it reminds your body that it's still worth fighting for. Now that we've explored the warning signs, cognitive decline, heart risks, loneliness, poor sleep, and weakened immunity, let's take a moment to talk about the emotional truth behind all of this. Because these aren't just symptoms on a list. They are quiet cries from your body, asking for something deeper. Something real. Watching your body change, or watching the space between you and your partner quietly grow wider. It's one of those invisible aches that doesn't always have words. You don't talk about it at dinner. You don't mention it on the phone with your kids. It just lives there, quietly, somewhere beneath your daily routine. You tell yourself it's normal. That maybe this is just what aging looks like. Less touch. Less passion. Less closeness. But that silence? That space? It doesn't have to stay. Because here's something you might not hear often enough: aging doesn't mean losing intimacy. It doesn't mean you've closed that chapter forever. It just means the story is changing. And change isn't the same as loss. Sometimes, it's just an invitation to reconnect in a new way. You see, intimacy doesn't have to be the way it was in your 30s. It doesn't have to look like movies or match some picture-perfect version you once had. It can be simpler, slower, more tender, and even more powerful. The truth is, you already hold the most valuable part of intimacy. The wisdom of knowing what really matters. The small things. The quiet things. The comfort of skin against skin. The peace of holding someone's hand without needing to say a word. The way your heart softens when someone chooses to stay close, even when life has wrinkled your skin or slowed your steps. That's intimacy, too. And maybe somewhere along the way, you stopped asking for it. Maybe the years got busy with caregiving, or pain, or grief, or fear. Maybe no one told you it was still yours to claim. But I want you to hear this loud and clear. It's not too late. It's never too late to feel seen. To feel touched. To feel connected. It's never too late to pull your partner close and say, "I miss how we used to be, can we find that again, in our own way?" You don't need perfect health. You don't need youthful energy. You just need honesty. Courage. A willingness to try. And if you don't have a partner right now, that doesn't mean you're without hope. Intimacy doesn't only live in romantic spaces. It lives in the laughter you share with a friend. The arms of a grandchild wrapping around you. The presence of someone who listens, really listens, when you speak. You still have love in your life. And your body still knows how to respond to warmth. To closeness. To care. So if any part of you has felt forgotten, disconnected, or unloved lately, let this be a gentle reminder: you are still worthy of affection. You are still capable of deep, life-giving intimacy. And the path back to it might be as simple as reaching out, asking for what you need, or opening up to what's already around you. Don't let silence steal the richness of your later years. You've lived too long, felt too much, and given too deeply to settle for a life without emotional connection. You've earned a love that grows with you, not one that disappears as you age. So take a breath, and ask yourself, what am I missing? What am I ready to rediscover? Because somewhere inside you, the part that still longs for closeness, it's not gone. It's just waiting. Waiting for you to say, "I still want this." And more importantly, "I still deserve this." Intimacy doesn't end with age. It evolves, and in that evolution, there's a kind of beauty and depth that only life experience can offer. So hold on to that truth, and let it guide you back to connection. One warm moment at a time. To recap, we've explored 5 important signs that might appear when intimacy starts to fade in your later years. Things like how it can affect your memory and thinking, increase risks to your heart, lead to emotional distance, disrupt your sleep, and even weaken your immune system. These aren't just small changes, they are signals your body and mind send when connection begins to slip away. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these changes in yourself or someone you care about? Do you believe intimacy still has a place after 70, or even 80? Your experiences matter, and this community is here to listen. Drop a